What is science to you?
The role of science, to me, is it basically lets us know what we know, and it helps us progress technologically, as well as a society. It allows us to grow. It keeps us from being tied down to dogmas that have no support. It keeps us from basically being taken. Science is a really good tool that we can use to determine whether something is true or not. It's basically a truth detector, and we can never know 100% truth, but science is really good at figuring out pretty much what's going
on. In your view, what is religion to society? What can religion add to society?
Not much.
Are you concerned about what's happening to our country? One by one, we're being stripped of our God-given liberties. Our kids can no longer pray in public. They can no longer freely open a Bible in school. The Ten Commandments are no longer allowed to be displayed in public places, and the Gideons are not even allowed to give away Bibles in schools. Did you know that a recent study revealed that in the top 50 universities in our country, in the fields of psychology and biology, 61% of the professors describe themselves as atheists or agnostics? That's 61%. No wonder atheism has doubled in the last 20 years among 19 to 25-year-olds. An entire generation is being brainwashed by atheistic evolution without even hearing the alternative. And it's radically changing the culture of our nation. There's only one way to change the heart of a nation.
Evolution versus intelligent design.
Intelligent design.
Intelligent design.
The argument is not that Darwinian evolution doesn't explain anything, it's that it doesn't explain everything.
The very idea of intelligent design is silly, because you have all these experts in fields that have nothing to do with biology, and that's important because it's evolution that they're going after. Obviously, when they're done with evolution, they're going to go after other fields of science that they don't like, but for the most part, it's biology. And then when you do get proponents that are in some way affiliated with biology, like take Michael Behe, for example, who, by the way, completely demolished his own his own hypothesis about irreducible complexity. But you get these people, these intelligent design proponents, who can't make any claims about what intelligent design says because they automatically get called on it by real scientists. And I mean, you see it all the time. These organizations like Discovery Institute, Answers in Genesis, they spend all their time, all their money cherry-picking real information, real research, real data done by a real scientist, and they take it out of context and call it evidence for ID. And that's not science. It's not science because, according to ID proponents, ID predicts everything, and therefore it predicts nothing.
Intelligent design is the death throes of rational religion, which came and went rather quickly. Because if you think rationally about religion, you don't last long in it. So intelligent design is just the last-ditch attempt of people who are relatively intelligent to try and reconcile their beliefs to the evidence and throw some doubt on the leading explanations for phenomena that cause them to doubt their religion. So they feel doubt, and they want to cling on to their comforting ideas. So they invent creationism, and when that gets shot down and shown to be complete nonsense, they invent intelligent design, which is slightly more scientific, but still crap. And then it's just them clinging to their old dogma, their old beliefs.
When I started to realize that scientifically it just didn't explain what it claimed to explain, that's when I started to have doubts. As science has progressed, at each stage, people have been astonished by the details in life.
Behe says you only have to look at the details to realize they were conceived and arranged by a supernatural power.
You can tell that something has been arranged when we see a number of different parts that are put together to do something.
Take the flagella, that tiny little tail that bacteria use to move around.
And it literally is the propeller. It's turned around and around and around.
It looks simple, but it's not.
If you didn't have the hook, the propeller would fall off. If you didn't have the drive shaft, the motor couldn't transmit any force. If you didn't have any one of dozens of different pieces here, it wouldn't work. You'd have to have all these pieces all together before it worked at all. And in order to do something like that, that's beyond random mutation and natural selection. You need intelligence to do that.
You, as a mathematician, see a design in nature, or no?
Yes.
You do?
There is quite a bit of apparent design in nature, but that doesn't mean that there is design. Doesn't mean that it was designed by some sort of higher intelligence. I think that the reason that mathematicians get stuck having a higher percentage of religious folk in them is that mathematicians don't necessarily know the biology. They don't necessarily know the chemistry. They just know the math. And so they can get hung up on not having a very intimate knowledge of how we know life arose, how we know life arose, and how we know the interactions, the evolutionary interactions, and they might get stuck on that. And they might also suffer a fallacy that I was stuck on when I was first student last year undergrad, was we create these mathematical systems, and then we use these rules that we have created, and I keep saying we as in humans. Humanity has created mathematics to model our situations. And we see all this beautiful interaction and these beautiful patterns arise, and it's extremely useful, and it works very well at what it's supposed to do. And it's because it's a human creation, and it's one of the most beautiful human creations, is mathematics. This isn't something that we are discovering. This isn't something to be discovered. This is something that we are creating. And a lot of mathematicians kind of see it as a discovery process, like the mathematics is there, and we are finding it. Whereas what's actually going on is that we are creating it from the ground up.
So you see it as a way a way that humans describe the world around us?
Yes.
Or?
So there is no cosine or sine inherent in the flapping of a flag. The flag is just obeying the physical interactions and the laws of nature that are out there. We assign labels to it, and we create these systems to model it. And our models are always going to be inaccurate. Our models are always slightly off, because the world is not a pure mathematical world. There's uncertainty once you get to a certain level. So mathematics is just an extremely good model created by humans. And I guess a lot of mathematicians, especially those with religious bents, will see it as they're discovering the mind of God or something. But like, oh God, these mathematics, they come together and allow me to understand the nature of the creator. But really all you're doing is discovering more of the beautiful interactions in the system that we have created as humans.
In this animation, we'll see the remarkable way our DNA is tightly packed up so that 6 feet of this long molecule fits into the microscopic nucleus of every cell.
I'm also learning that there's information stored at higher levels within the cell, and it's the term of art for that now is ontogenetic information, and it's the differences in it's more like the DNA has the information for building the small level parts, the proteins, but how the proteins are arranged into distinctive types of cells, how distinctive types of cells are arranged to form distinctive types of tissues, how distinctive tissues are arranged to form distinctive organs, how organs and tissues are arranged to create what are called body plans, whole architectures, blueprints. That does not seem to be entirely controlled by DNA, and so scientists are very interested in finding out where the other these other levels of information are. In a sense, the blueprint for arranging the parts. The rivets on a ship and the rivets on a plane may be very different, but they're part of a larger architecture that's determined by blueprint.
And scientists haven't discovered all these things yet.
No, we know where some of that ontogenetic information resides, but not all of it, and it's a great area of continuing research.
So people are looking for it, they're trying to find out, they're trying to come up with theories to explain how these ordering mechanisms work.
Exactly. But organisms are fascinatingly complex systems, and it makes sense that we have a hierarchy of information in our own digital computer systems, which are high-tech information processing systems. We have layers